Hello everyone, thanks for joining me in this video. I want to focus on the topic of how can we use what we have, bringing some ideas to mind that might help you in the act of using what you have, shopping your stash, however you want to phrase it. It is so easy with all the new products that we get and try to just kind of stay in that new product place. I've got those drawers I talked about last week, my rainbow drawers, and that's keeping my PR stuff and that's giving me an easy way to know what I have in that sense. However, it's not like that's purely what I'm using, and I want to be in touch with everything I have, even the things that might be a little older. And it's not just because, oh, well, I want to use it up before it goes bad, but it's also the fact that staying in touch with the products that have been around a little longer gives you an accurate, frame of mind when you're trying the newer things and you're able to see, okay, is this new thing actually any better than what I've already had? But also you just flat out feel better when you're using the things that you do own. Like, okay, I didn't put my money into that and then it just sat there unused for a long, long time. Will this amount to a full face, my list of things? Maybe it will, pretty much. So I've got my skincare on and everything, and the first thing that I put down, if you see me looking at my little list, I did make a list, but your colorless lip glosses and balms, the time to use those is as you're getting your skincare on, and anymore I just think of it as lip care. That is the final step of my skincare routine, is putting something colorless on the lips so it can just kind of sit there and soak in as I do my routine. For example, I've got these little squeeze me lip balms from e.l.f. and they're basically clear, and I mean, I've had them on hand for a while. Why am I not using them? I don't know. Probably because they don't have much color, and so therefore they don't really fit into my final lip look super well. But if every single day I'm putting some on when I start my makeup routine and getting the lips softened, not only is it using a product that needs to be used, but it's helping my lips soften up and be in their best condition by the time I get to putting my lip products on. So the one I just put on there is the Squeeze Me Lip Balm in the Vanilla Frosting scent. And I've heard people say it smells a little bit like buttered popcorn, but I kind of like that. Product combinations are another way to use what you have. You know, you're bringing a couple things in at once, and I find this useful when I'm using a skin tint type of product. There are tons of things out there labeled skin tint. Combine the skin tint with a powder foundation. This is especially for those who sometimes feel a little dissatisfied with the coverage they get out of a skin tint. This is a great time to bring in a powder foundation, and it can kind of do the remainder of the work on your skin, and then you're also using two products. Some people might say, well, I don't want to feel like I got to use extra products. But if you're really loving makeup, loving the makeup routine thing, I mean, product combos can be fun. Combining a couple of different foundations if you can't find something that works perfectly. You know, combining the skin tint and the powder foundation. You may really come up with a combo that works great on your skin. Today for my little product combo, I'm going to use my Too Faced Born This Way Healthy Glow that has the SPF 50. It's called a moisturizing skin tint. I have the shade Warm Nude, and I actually really like this stuff. This wears beautifully on my skin. It's light in the coverage department. However, it's still giving me something, you know, so I've enjoyed this one a lot. But putting this on with the knowledge that I'm going to bring in a powder foundation. Today it's going to be L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear foundation in a powder in the shade True Beige. But applying our makeup knowing that that's going to kind of fill in some gaps, possibly add a little extra coverage. This makeup headband, I stole it from Belle. Not that she's really putting on a lot of makeup, but she likes to pop these on. It's really tight behind my ears today. So it's a hydrating skin tint, as it says. It's giving me some hydration. It's giving me a little bit of color on the skin, but once I go on with my powder foundation, I'm gonna really be loving my overall finished look. So first, I'll dab on some concealer. I'll stay with Too Faced. I'm gonna use my Born This Way Sculpting Concealer in Cream Puff. Had a really fun Mother's Day yesterday. One of my gifts, this is gonna reveal the weather nerd in me, but I got a little home weather station. It's mounted on our fence out back, and it reports weather info to my phone, and a neat little monitor thing that's in the house. And it's practically like a little social media thing because you can see the readouts from other people who have this too. But when I'm not terrified of tornadoes, I actually quite enjoy the weather. I always have. And fun fact, my grandpa on my mom's side, he was the weather person for the local paper for decades. He was kind of like the weather record keeper or whatever for the town. But it's kind of cool how I take a liking to that as well. So concealer is stepping up the coverage there. I will separately set the concealer because that's just what I do. Maybelline Fit Me in Fair, because that's just what I do. I do it because I can stay extra bright by using a light translucent powder. And I use a light amount here, dab it on, and then we dust away any excess. But anyway, we started using that yesterday. It involved just, I think, 2 trips to Lowe's for Bub to get that all mounted and set up for me, but it's really cool. I think my kids are gonna like throughout the summer, keeping track of things like that too. And then we're enjoying my new mini dash snow cone maker. Got some sugar-free syrups. I think that's gonna be the new thing of the summer as well in our house. Under eyes are set. Now we come in with the actual combo move here. So we did the skin tint, gave us light coverage everywhere. Then I just take a little brush with a powder foundation, and it makes me feel like, yeah, I'm getting some use out of those powder foundations that I might not be as likely to just strictly use solo, but the combination of the two, it really does feel all in all light on the skin to do it this way, even if you are adding like another product in. Don't get so hung up on amount of products. Think more about feel, amounts, and what your end result is actually going to feel like, because this is really light. I'm using a light amount of powder, and then you're like, oh, that's just a skin tint and a little powder foundation. It looks really good. But we've all had that feeling where maybe the skin tint left you a little underwhelmed. Maybe the powder as is just doesn't do it for you. Combine them. Here's a biggie, and the first thing I started doing that really got me onto this idea of how can we better use what we have on hand, and it's get out those older Hourglass palettes. Like, I've got the cute little owl back here. She's the newest friend for the year, you know, we love that, and we're still using the owl. But I've got in a drawer down here all of the other Hourglass palettes. I've not tossed them out. They're not bad, you know? And in many of them, there are products that belong to the regular line. They've just been grouped into a palette. But whatever the case, they're perfectly good. Why not use them? I know it's maybe frustrating to see me use something that maybe you can't immediately get your hands on, but I started thinking, what about those who can? You know, what about everybody who does have stuff like this sitting around, and you don't have to maybe take it so literally to be an Hourglass thing, but just like, do you have some limited edition holiday stuff that you might as well be using? Pull it out. You want to feel like you've grabbed for something new, but it's really just something you've had. For example, this one is the Ambient Lighting Edit Volume 4. It's the one that has that pinky tinted packaging. Why not use this stuff when it comes time to put on a bronzer? Or the stuff like this can be great if it's touch-up time, because usually there's an ambient lighting powder in here. Like this one has diffuse light and dim light. Those are great for touch-ups because they're super lightweight. And then, you know, your bronzer, your blush, your highlight, consider pulling it in for touch-ups. I'm going to use the bronzer. This is Filtered Bronze Light. I'm just going to pick that up. And yeah, I've gotten a lot of use out of, what was the one I'd had out here? The one that has like the marbled kind of finish on it. I've been using that one a lot. I plan to bring out my elephant palette again. Tell me in the comments section, surely you still have some of the older versions if this is a type of product that you keep up with. Nice little soft bronze. I'm going to contour with it. Because over the years, I have truly enjoyed these products. I have loved the Hourglass full face palettes. Why are we only really thinking about grabbing for one for the rest of a year until the next one comes out? It's just silly. If you got them, use them. I did take one of these, I think it was the Sculpture one, and I kept it in my girls' cheer bag for the season because it was very easy for me as I was getting them ready for competition, and we didn't have like a certain blush or anything we had to use, but I pop out one of these palettes. I'm like, I can go to town quickly and easily. I've got everything I need there face color wise. And think about this too with your eyeshadow palettes. The things that come out around the holidays, the things that are limited edition, you might as well use them, and if you do share about them, you know, maybe there's somebody else who could be encouraged to use it as well. I'm gonna go down to this pretty berry and like highlighter swirled blush. Ooh, that's pretty. What's that called? That's the Strobe Blush in Euphoric Fusion. Oh, so pretty. I love that shade. That is super pretty, and you kind of feel like, yeah, I've got a little highlighter and blush in one, but we'll still grab for the highlight that's in here. This is the Strobe Powder in Euphoric Strobe Light. Grab a little bit here. The highlighters are always so pretty in these palettes. They do a great job of giving us something that's going to glow, but there's always a nice little softness. Hi, kitten. Rosie is so cute. When she needs to get into the girls' room because she loves to sleep on their beds early in the morning, she's gotten to where she doesn't scratch anymore. She just pokes her head into my room like, hey, I'm here. And then I know to come let her in. And then finally, I might just bounce between my dim light and my diffused light there and just add a little finish all over the skin. A little finishing powder. If you got it, why not use it? Or maybe you are, and I'm the only one who hasn't been. And if it's overwhelming for you to think like, oh, every day I'm gonna pick out a different product to use, if you're really in a rush, like just sit it out and this will be the one that I grab for a week. When I want any kind of multitasking face palette, like that'll just be the one of the week. And then next week, pick a different one. I just did my brows and I forgot I had another face related tip to share, but it's the reminder that glowy primers can be pretty on top. So even if you didn't want to start your look with a glowy primer, consider popping them on top. We learned this in a recent video. I used that Glow in Love stuff from Wet n Wild and I like popped it on the cheeks and it was so pretty. It was different from a regular highlighter. And I'm gonna try it today with the Lumi Glotion in the shade Light Glow. A lot of people probably have a Lumi Glotion sitting around and you can just tap it on with your fingers if you want to, or just put some on your hand, grab a small brush. Yeah, we couldn't take the makeup headband anymore, so that had to go. But I've just got a little bit on my brush. I know I already had some highlighter on there. But it gives such a pretty skin-like finish because usually these are not loaded with any kind of visible sparkle flakes. They're just kind of a pretty sheen in products such as this. And I just think it's something you should consider. And it's another way to get use out of those things if you feel like, well, maybe I've got this other certain primer that I love to use or that I rely on. Well, if you got some glowy primers, pop them on as highlights because they're pretty like that. And if you just use a light amount, you really don't affect negatively the texture of your skin overall. Like I'm not feeling tacky for having done that just now. My other idea here is to pull in shadow that doesn't necessarily come from a major palette, like the hot palette of the moment. Let's say you're watching TikTok or you're watching YouTube and everybody's pulling in their Patrick Ta Major Dimension 3 palette or their new Makeup by Mario palette, or you know, whatever's being used as the thing of the moment. I don't know about you, but I've got a lot of smaller products. I've got singles, I've got duos, I've got things that look like this. And this is just your gentle reminder to pay attention to those things that you have that are smaller. Your quads, your trios, whatever it may be. This one is my e.l.f. Bite Size Quad and the shade is called Pumpkin Pie. And it's a nice little brownish bronzy neutral spread, and I'm gonna go into this today and use this on my eyes. I'm using the matte, lighter of the two matte browns and start that up in my crease. And another thing like that I want to get into more are my singles that I have and also my Clinique duos. I've got a number of those. Those are super handy and easy. They're great quality. Tell me in the comments section, like what are some smaller things that you have on hand that you haven't maybe been using as much. Even from high-end brands, I've got some smaller palettes and it's like, why are we always in this mentality of it's got to be the latest and greatest big palette that you involve in your look? I'm almost guilty of this by like creating my palette curation station there, which is nice to have. It gets some of those bigger palettes out of my drawers and into an area where I see them frequently, and it's nice. But the little ones need something like that too, almost. There's that shade on the end, just kind of gently blended into the crease. Sometimes with these smaller palettes, you'll feel like, well, I don't have like a lighter shade to highlight with. You might just think it's missing a little something here or there, but you can always add in, combine. Talk about combining products to get more use out of things. I'm gonna take my matte brown here. It's a little cooler brown. Another brand that makes really good little 4-pan palettes that I might like even better than some of these e.l.f. ones are the little hard candy quads. The one called Bear, there's a really warm one too. There's a purple one. There's kind of a cool taupey mauve looking one. They're really good and very thoughtfully designed, I think. But like I hadn't been using my e.l.f. Bite Size stuff in a while, so here we go. Little brown in the outside, you know how we do. Just patting it on gently, and then we can pull in a smaller brush to sort of shape it exactly how we want it. So for me, that's my Profusion small pointed brush. And we can hit that crease, swirl it out some. This dark brown is not like world's greatest dark brown, but it's able to be worked with. Okay, we're blending over top of that with our crease brush again, and look, everything's looking blended. I'm not really feeling the need to pull in for something else right now. And then we'll just grab one of these little shimmers here. One appears to be maybe a little lighter and brighter, so I'll go for this one. And we'll just take that across the lid. And that will basically be our eye look. Super easy. But yet we feel like we've gotten in touch with something we haven't used in a bit. And to me, that's satisfying and fun. Ooh, that is pretty. I'm kind of trying to take my shades that I go inward with up a little bit above, even if it is a shimmer, because it kind of like just makes a little bit more of the situation. It softens it out, makes it seem a little bit less like, boom, here's my patch of sparkle just right on the inner lid. Not that this is really sparkly, but you know what I'm saying. My next thing is something I've definitely, if you've been with my videos for a while, you know I've been talking about this for some time. Oh, thank you, sweetheart. She just brought me her little powder puff. This is her puff that she walks all over the house with. She is an actual angel. Yeah, I love you. As I was saying, I'm not a big cream shadow person, and maybe that should just be something I should switch up for summertime. Just using more cream shadows, creating more cream shadow looks with the things that are really long wearing. But the way I have been getting so much use out of my shadow sticks is using them as liner. I call it lazy liner because the liner is it's so easy, and you still benefit from great staying power. So if you've got ones from, I'm just looking in my drawer here, Laura Mercier, Laura Geller, Hard Candy, Makeup Forever. Milani has some good shadow sticks now, but give them a little test and see, can I draw this on my hand and it will set to a smudge-free state? I now have cat hair floating about. If it can set, it's gonna be great as smudgy liner down below, or you can use it up on your upper lash line for some of your darker shades. But using this technique, honestly, most of the time has allowed me to get so much more use out of my different shadow sticks. Okay, after rummaging and rummaging, I think I've found the ones I wanna use today. I'm grabbing out Laura Geller's Kajal Longwear Eyeliner in the dark brown coal shade. And if you're looking for darker tones, because I know a lot of brands will put out shadow sticks in light to mid tones, if you want darker shades, consider Laura Geller's line. They do a great job with it, and it's so easy. You see how I'm like, there's no effort involved. These sticks stay so much creamier than your average eyeliner, and the look you get is more smudgy, less precise. So it really doesn't look makeup-y, you know what I mean? It just looks like a little bit of added definition, and usually I'm covering like the outer half of my upper lid with something like that. And then something more mid-tone is great on the lower lash line. For this shadow look, it has to be Cold Brew from Hard Candy. I pull this one out often, but it's what it has to be. This beautiful, like kind of murky copper bronze. See what we've done on the lower lash line? It looks like a shadow application, but I'm over just putting shadow on my lower lash line. I love the softness of shadow, but I hate the staying power. This stuff will last, and it goes on looking like it's already been smudged out. You don't even really have to touch it. And then also consider your lighter ones. Hard Candy makes a shade called Bubbly here. If you want a little lightness around the inside, do that. Get use out of your shadow sticks. Use them as liners and as accents. I don't want to get too frosty with it, but you know, you could brighten up a little bit up in here. But from the drugstore, some of my faves are definitely coming from Hard Candy. They have a really good black one too. And that's nice to have like lower inner rim. I'll use jumbo shadow sticks there too. And I think for the summer, I want to try pulling in more like fun colors to the lower lash line, be it a regular liner, a shadow stick, because for me, that's my next step. I've already been doing the tip I've told you, which is shadow sticks as liner for some time now. But my personal advice to myself will be try to pull in some of the shades you haven't been getting out. Don't let yourself use Cold Brew for a week. I do have a lash related tip that involves using what you have, and this is just kind of the common sense advice that maybe some of you guys already do, but consider layering your mascaras because you can get better looks sometimes with two instead of just one. You might think, well, I'll just keep layering coat after coat of this one mascara. But what I've been finding lately is if I put on the 1 or 2 coats of one initially and I'm not super pleased with it, just a little bit of one extra mascara might take it over the top and be all that I need. And if you're looking for thickness, consider grabbing out like a more chunky mascara at the end. Okay, so I'm going to use like e.l.f. Lash Extender here. That's going to be my first step. And I like this and this. Oops, it might help to turn the mirror around. I can be satisfied for sure with this and this alone. But if we're trying to really do some building here and take advantage of the tip, using what you got. What we'll eventually do is pop on something that's really nice and thickening on top of this nice lengthening and defining mascara. This is a tubing mascara, by the way. And yes, I can totally wear it on my lower lashes and trust it. I can trust that it's not gonna flake off or go anywhere during the day, so I love that. So I'm just gonna fully get this on, let's just say like 2 coats on each eye. All right, so my lash extender is on. It's giving a good defined lengthened look, but here's where we pull in the thickening stuff, the stuff that goes on with just a small amount of product, a minimal amount of sweeps through, and it's gonna deposit some stuff on there that's gonna thicken you up. I know this Monsieur Big from Lancome, this really does that. Other ones that I see in my collection that might be a little bit more that way, the Physicians Formula Butter line deposits on quite a bit. The CoverGirl Cleantopia ones are pretty good about that too, but this one has definitely been one of the best in this respect. So I'm just gonna add on a little more on top. And it's not gonna be a big process. It's not gonna be a big like build it up over and over thing. But with 1 coat, this on top of some existing mascara is great. Okay, so things have gotten thicker, things are looking longer. I love doing a mascara combo. Lashes are noticeably thicker. I enjoy doing that. Just try it out. You know, you never know what you're gonna get with certain lash combos. And also a factor is the first one you're putting on something that's fast drying or slow drying. Like today, this combo, the lash extender's pretty fast drying, and Monsieur Big is so thickening it doesn't really care. It'll go on top of anything, but even if you don't have a really thickening mascara to put on top, so long as you're topping off something that doesn't dry super fast initially, you can really create some build there. My last thing that I want to chat about in this video is combining a couple shades of lip liner and doing kind of a little lip contouring thing. This has been born out of my newfound love for brown lip liners. I'm loving browns. I love the finished look that it leaves on my lips, and it's just fun to kind of feel like you're contouring your lips up. So I'm gonna start out with just a regular nude lip liner. This is e.l.f. Cream Glide, and the shade is called Baddest Beige. So I have 3 of these now. I've got the mauve one that was my gateway. I've got the, I think it's called Pinky Swear or Pink something. That's the one that's just like Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. And then this is kind of my softest, lightest one. Fine on its own? Sure. But then bring in a brownish lip liner. Also, in a TikTok I posted over the weekend, I chatted about these lip liners from Rimmel, the lasting finish ones. Cappuccino is a great cool brown, 90s nude. I kind of did this idea with those products there. But I also have this one from Milani. It's the Understatement lip liner in the shade Rich Cocoa. We're talking brown, y'all. I'm not talking kind of brown, I'm talking brown. Go around the outside with brown. And if it's feeling stark, kind of blend it in. Okay, so like I don't really want to see straight up line. I want to see it kind of blending into things. But actually makes your lips look in the end, I think, way fuller. And I'm just loving brown lips. I can't help it. Blend it in. Okay, soften that line, but kind of leave it at a line. Then take a gloss on top. Now, it doesn't have to be a gloss. You could go on with a lipstick. You could leave it at this, because I really like this. But this is Essence Extreme Shine Volume Lip Gloss, and the shade is called Dusty Rose. Just experiment. Have fun. See what happens. This is kind of a sheer light gloss, but it's going to bring some shine to the whole look and a little reflectivity. I love it, you guys. I'm just loving brown lips. I'm recurling my lashes, getting that where I want it to be. Do we add more blush? I think we do. We had kind of a soft amount of blush there from the Hourglass palette. Right in here, a little bit more. You just know at the end if you need more. And if you're in doubt, you need more. There's another t-shirt or coffee mug design. When in doubt, add more blush. I really want to do that. Somebody said I need to create some merch. I probably do. But here's my finished look, guys, and it's not so much about this particular look that I made, but just inspiring you to check your collection for some of those things that you just haven't used in a while. So to review, we're taking colorless lip products, whether it's a balm or a gloss. Glosses can be very softening too, certain ones. Get use out of those by popping them on your look when you do your skincare. The combination of skin tints and powder foundations. You might feel like neither one is fully satisfying you on their own, but together they can be so enough, okay? So I'm loving that. Grab your older Hourglass palettes or any other old holiday limited edition thing, use them. Use them while you got them. Glowy primers can be pretty on top of the skin as well as underneath. Think about your shadows that aren't coming from major palettes. Shadow sticks as liner. Get use out of your shadow sticks. If you, like me, are not fully doing looks with them all over your lids, use them as liners. Consider layering mascaras and find a combo that's just right for you, and use a couple lip liners to kind of contour things out. It doesn't have to be brown. You could go kind of like nude and then maybe a berry on the outside, or work in like a coral and a red or whatever, but I've just been liking that. So thank you guys for your time today, and I will see you all again very soon. I love you. Bye.